sideways like this. Maybe it wants me to turn it. I don't know what it wants me to do. Okay, so we are live right now. I don't know. It's saying orientation is like locked, so I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Do, 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 do. I'm just going to share this out. Just at the end of last year, I have no clue why the phone is doing this. It's absolutely crazy. It's saying that the orientation is locked. Let's see. Does it want me to do this? I guess it wants me to do this. I don't know why. Okay, if that's what it wants me to do, then that's what I'm going to do. All right. So, welcome to today's live. This is a statement. Okay, this is a statement of what we promised we were going to get done in 2026. And that promise was that we were going to pull out as many empaths. We were going to bring them out of narcissistic abuse. I think that narcissistic abuse is so hidden in today's society. We give it so many, like they wasn't raised right, and we say things like, "Oh, they just don't know how to interact with people." We say all of this stuff, but yet and still, narcissistic abuse still goes on. It still takes place, and it still breaks so many empaths, so many people that have such promise that have such goals, such dreams, and then they run into a narcissist, and then the narcissist makes it their main duty to break that person, to hurt that person. And yet, and still, all that person tried to do was to love the narcissist. I know it sounds really crazy. It sounds insane. It sounds like who would actually do that? And that's why the Now movement exists. And yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on. That's why I haven't been going live. We're actually waiting on our non-for-profit status to be okay. We're already recognized in the state of New Jersey. We're just waiting for the feds to lock on and decide, hey, listen, go ahead, let them do their thing. But many of the things, I mean, I've got courses, there's free books at the Healing Library, but what I want to talk about is the free course that we offer right here on YouTube. uh, its name, the Trauma Bond Exit Protocol. Yeah, I try to keep everything consistent. Just bite-sized chunks to help people figure this out, to help them, decide like, okay, listen, maybe this is what's really going on. I find that on a couple of my other social media networks, I have this thing where I post a question and the response is insane. And the response actually validates what so many empaths, what so many survivors actually go through when they are dealing with narcissistic abuse. Um, oh, there goes the camera over there. When they're dealing with narcissistic abuse, it hurts. It hurts, especially for empaths, because empaths feel intensely. This is why they get trapped and roped along in these dynamics. Is because they actually care deeply, and the narcissist takes full advantage of that. Um, so yeah, what I created was a course on YouTube, the Trauma Bond Exit Protocol, which is basically bite-sized chunks. There's no video over 15 minutes, and they're clearly titled. So if you feel that you're going through something that you're trying to get clarity on, that you're trying to make sense of, always very important. You're trying to make sense of, just pick the title that fits. And I tend to upload those 3 times a week. Since I started, I've been on a consistent upload schedule of getting at least 3 up. This is actually one of those uploads. I decided I wanted to go live to talk about it. But like I said, bite-sized chunks. If you are going through something and you feel that you may be a victim of narcissistic abuse, you know, I suggest that you look at one of the videos that actually points or directs to what you feel that you're going through. See, the thing with narcissistic abuse is, the names may change, the tactics may change a little bit, but everything stays the same. In many of my videos, I call them chipmunks because they just do the same thing over and over and over again. And you would think that the rest of humanity, the rest of us normal human beings, would have figured it out. But one of the things that I've noticed, and hey, listen, I'm not excused from this. I've got trapped up. Okay. One of the things that I notice is they are professional con people. Okay. And I talk about this in one of the videos, again, completely free. Just go watch it. You know, how they mirror you. How at the beginning of the relationship, they actually mirror you. They mirror your traits, the way you speak, you know, the little phrases that you use, the way you walk, the way you talk, everything. They mirror that. So what happens is you're sitting up there and you're looking at this person that for whatever reason, you're trying to figure out, okay, are we compatible? Well, hell's yeah, you're compatible because you're looking at yourself. You are looking at yourself. And many people, this is how they get trapped. This is before the love bombing, before anything. It's their way of making sure that you let your guard down because why would you be alarmed at anyone or anything that's just like you? Why would that bring up a red flag? And the thing is, it makes your brain, it makes your nervous system feel comfortable. You know, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was, you know, a lot of people, and this I get this from the comments that I get on my other social networks, from the posts that I put up. You know, another thing that I notice is this whole thing about the new supply, and I think I'm going to address that in the next video. One of the things, and I'm not coming at anybody because, you know, here's the deal. You've been in a relationship with this person, this demon, whatever you want to call them, this narcissist, and they have, after you start to see or get an inkling of what you're dealing with and you start to pull back, they notice this. They notice this. And what they do is they double down. And if that's not working, what they do is they go for the discard. They want to get rid of you. Okay, because you no longer serve a purpose. You no longer are beneficial to them because you have seen through the mask. So what they do is they discard you and they start to look for someone who will accept the BS, who will accept the lies, who will accept the gaslighting. Okay, and they say, hey, and this person is going to give me validation, the trade-off being what all adults actually do. So this person, they are in the trap of a narcissist. Now, the narcissist is making you the enemy. As soon as they walk into that relationship with the new supply, they start painting you as the bad guy. Whether you're male, whether you're female, it doesn't matter. You get painted as the bad guy because this automatically starts that enemy dynamic. Okay, so if you do decide to reach out, which I would strongly suggest that you don't do, if you do decide to reach out, okay, the new supply is going to ignore you because the new supply thinks that they just won the golden ticket. Okay, and if they know anything about you, they think now that they're better than you. So they're definitely not listening to you because they're saying to themselves, well, that used to be theirs. Now it's mine. So now I have proven that I'm better than this person. So you can go to the rooftop, send them kites, send them telegrams, send them texts. It doesn't matter. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to leave it alone. You need to leave it alone. Okay. Here's the deal that I really don't understand is when people contact me and they say, you know, I don't know what happened. You know, they texted me. I just wanted, you know, to see if we can get some closure. They didn't give you closure before. Why do you think you want to get closure now? Okay. And what they do is they say to themselves, they're like, you know, I thought I could figure it out. I thought they understood. I thought they had changed. Narcissists never change. Okay. They never change. Again, I bring this to your attention. When you watch these videos with people that say they are self-aware narcissists, notice the important words, self-aware. They're not saying I'm a healed narcissist. They're not saying I'm a cured narcissist. They're not saying I used to be a narcissist. They're saying they're self-aware of what they are. Okay? So the narcissist is not going to change. And all you're doing is frustrating yourself. And this is why I put up the video, don't block them. I mean, block them on everything. Okay, unless you can't, that means that you have business, you have children, you have property that you're entangled with, things that have legal proceedings attached to them. No, you can't block them on everything. But if you have none of those things, what you need to do is you need to completely block the narcissist. Okay. And by blocking them, that doesn't mean that you use your backup account to go see what they're doing. It doesn't mean that. That's backwards. That's what I call dosing. That is akin to leaving you saying you're trying to quit. And I actually put that in the video. You're saying you're trying to quit whatever you're trying to quit, but you keep your dealer on speed dial. You don't delete their number. You're not trying to quit. What you're doing with the narcissist is you're dosing, and that all that does is send you back into the trauma bond. That's why I created the trauma bond exit protocol. Free courses on YouTube. Free. Just go look it up, watch the videos, watch what is going to give you the answers that you need. I can't see any more empaths go through this. I can't. Because at the end of the day, it's not just hurting them, it's hurting the world. Because when we look at empaths, when we look at the definition of empaths, those are creatives, those are change makers. Those are the ones, as I tell my daughters, are going to change the world. But if they are laid up, turtled up, curled up in a fetal ball on a bed someplace, missing someone that made it their point to break them, get that clear. Get that clear. This person made it very clear, my only duty is to break and destroy you. And you're in the fetal ball mourning this person as if it was a regular relationship. The reason why you got out is because at some point you thought that you was in danger. Your nervous system thought you were in danger. So I help me out here. You've got to help me out here. If you got out because your nervous system, something finally clicked in your brain and in your body and said, I got to get out of here. This isn't turning out too good for me. This ain't working. I have to get out of here now. And you try to fix this relationship. Something that you knew when you left was unfixable. See, that's the problem. This is why empaths need to be set free. This is why empaths need this knowledge. Because what actually happens is empaths have this crazy, strange thing, okay? And this is going to sound familiar. This is going to resonate. We've got hope. The way that empaths are built is they always have hope. They always have hope that this person will turn out to be better, that this person will at least revert halfway to the person that they was when you first met them, when the relationship first started, when you were in the midst of the love bombing. You are hoping that you can give this person clarity and common sense. You're hoping that, hey, listen, this relationship is going to be destroyed. I thought this is something that you treasured. No. And at some point, you have to look at the law of nature, self-preservation. If you think that you're in danger, if you're in a forest and you think you're in danger, you're walking through and then you hear something rustling in the bushes. Here you are, a little rabbit. You hear something rustling in the bushes, okay? And you're hopping around. More than likely, as that little rabbit, you're going to go someplace. Okay, someplace far, far away. You're not going to go and see, well, maybe this is not a lion. Maybe this is not a tiger. Maybe this is not a bobcat or a cat. Let me just go someplace safe. And it seems like we have so much hope that instead we say, you know what? I know this might be dangerous. I know this might hurt me. Let me just go back over there and see if I can change this predator's mind. Let me see if I can speak some sense into the mind of this predator. Because that's essentially what you're doing. So yeah, I do a lot. I do a lot in the community. I actually just finished my newsletter for the town that I lived in, Camden, that I actually live in. the movement, like I said, the non-for-profit funding, that once it gets, okay, because this is a mental health issue. Okay, this is a mental health issue. There are so many people that have been trapped in narcissistic relationships that just kept on holding on to hope, that kept on staying around to be broken, that ended up, due to their own hands. I went through a very depressing stage because the devaluation was, oh, you're not useful. You don't really serve a purpose. You can't do this, and this. And instead of thinking like, boo boo, when I met you, you had absolutely nothing. Okay, whatsoever. Okay, you moved into where I live. You brought your kids where I live. The circus, the shit show circus came into my house because we get so wrapped up in hope that we forget to look at the reality. Because we stay in these relationships so long that we say to ourselves, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am useless. Maybe there's somebody that can do something better for them. Maybe this, maybe that. It's like, no, this is just, you have to look at, and this is why it's important that empaths break free from the trauma bond. You have to look at the relationship on a whole, not just through the lens of feelings. Okay, because those feelings are as false as the narcissist was. Okay, how they presented themselves to you in the beginning, okay, never existed. It never existed. You were watching a performance. Okay, so they can get you to the stage where they could destroy you, and empaths are their number one favorite food supply because we actually care. We actually, in a effed up way, even though this person is hurting us, even though this person is causing us pain, we still have hope that we can fix the problem. And this is why narcissists gravitate towards, this is why empaths become grade A supply. Okay, because nobody else is going to do that. Your regular Joe Blow ain't going to do that. Narcissists never attach themselves to someone who does not have goals, that is not doing nothing, does not have a name, because what they need to do is they need to insert themselves into your life so they can take and actually wear the best things that make you up as a person, that make you the person that you are. That is their goal. That is their goal. And I'm going to tell you, it just, if we can get empaths to understand, to actually pay attention to the red flags, to actually pay attention to the warning signs. I I've been out for like close to a year now. Okay, close to a year I've been out. Okay, and I've worked overboard on healing. Okay, because I truly believe. I mean, while I was still caught up in it, I started Church of Real Talk. I started that because I felt that, hey, listen, if people can become the best versions of themselves, the world will be a better place overall. That's always been, anybody that's followed me on social media will know there's no cap in that. That's just the way I feel. If everybody can live up to their best and fullest potential, that's going to be awesome for the rest of the world. And, once I saw through the fog, once I started to understand what it was that I was going through, and I did the same thing that many people do. I'm online, I'm going through videos, I'm doing research, I'm studying Carl Jung as if I'm in a psychology class, and I am, figuring out what's going on. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. I have to get out of here. I've got to get free. Self-preservation finally kicked in, but for many empaths, for many good-natured souls, they are still stuck because they're still hooked on that drug called hope, on that drug called potential. They're still hooked on that. And that's what the Now movement is all about, to unhook these people, okay, to get them off of the addiction of this false love, of this false narrative. That's all we're trying to do with this. Nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, I offer a lot of stuff. We got a free healing library. All the linkage is up there. I really, I'm not gonna go on and on about that. But this movement in the last, I'm going to say 6 months has grown. Um, we put a lot of information out there to help people, you know, to help people understand that this is not just a thing. It's not. It's not just a catchphrase that everybody's using. Narcissism is real. And many people are losing their life, their finances, their status in society. They're losing everything because of a person that came into their life with nothing, left with nothing, and are just going to move forward, proceed forward to torture and hurt another empath. A lot of times we wait on karma. I'm going to tell you something. Karma is going to happen. It's just a basic law of the universe. I get that part. But at the same time, having knowledge and setting yourself free before you get to the stage where you're saying, Karma, I need you to come in and fix this. No. No, that we don't want people to wait that long, because sometimes when you wait that long, when you stay in that dynamic for too long, what happens is you lose yourself. And you have to start at some point. You've got to make the choice of, you know what, can I once again be the whole person that I was? I got a post running right now. It's got over 10,000 likes, something like that. It's on my one of my other social networks. And the question is, you know, when you finally got free, is there anything that you can tell anyone else that may be suffering? And there seems to be this thread that keeps on going on, where people are commenting just one word: run. It's like people are just saying, run, get out now, save your money, do what you need to do, but get out, because it doesn't get better. So yes, that's what the now movement is about. It's about realizing that A, it doesn't get better, and B, you need to get the hell out of Dodge. You need to leave now. If you even have an inkling that you're in a narcissistic relationship, not someone that doesn't have that has very poor social skills, there's a difference. See, that's what they hide behind. That people just say, "Oh, they just got bad social skills. Oh, don't worry about them. Oh, they don't know what they're doing." No, they do know what they're doing. A narcissist knows exactly what they're doing. When they're hurting you, when they're gaslighting you, when they're trying to make you feel as if you're looking into a mirror. This is done purposely. It's not some little child that doesn't know what the hell is going on. This is not one of those mental illnesses where they have no control. No, they have full control. They have full control, but what they don't want to do is to deal with the shame that lives inside of them. They know what they're doing is hurtful, but they rationalize it in their little minds. Even as they're hurting you, if they're cheating on you, they're telling themselves, oh, well, this person, they're not the person that I thought they were. So that gives me fair right to go ahead and cheat on them. If they're stealing from you, well, this person, they did this. I brought them a cupcake one day. Hey, listen, I'm allowed to steal their money. I'm allowed to go in their bank account. I'll never forget. I'm 3 months in with this narcissist, still in the love bombing stage. And one day, oh, we need to have joint bank accounts. You don't even got a freaking job. You don't even have a job. Why would I give you access to the money that I work for? This is what I'm talking about. This is how the narcissist plays, because you're in the love bombing stage. So they figure, oh, I got to turn up the temperature in the bedroom and then come back with this. And then maybe they'll give me permission to have a joint bank account. I saw a post one day and it made me think. The whole time. I have this thing. It's called return on investment. Okay, and I'll never forget when I explained in the beginning to the narcissist, return on investment is very important to me. They decided to tell me, "Oh, that's so cold. That's like, isn't that a business term? That is so cold. How can you be in a relationship and say that?" Well, in hindsight, looking back, they added nothing to the equation. They didn't support me. They didn't help me. They didn't prop me up. They didn't help me grow. I got nothing. I got the zero return on investment. The investment being my time. See, the one thing that we can't get back, the one thing that we can't recycle, time wasted. Absolutely wasted. I can't even see who's on the line, but I'm quite sure there's a flying monkey, somebody else. It doesn't make a difference. I really don't care. What I care about is the now movement. No other way but forward. I promise in the beginning of 2026 that, hey, listen, I'm going out of my way to not only unmask these narcissists, but to free these empaths, to free these people that are sitting up there saying, but I love her, but I love him, but, hey, listen, they were the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to tell you right now, okay? Right now, the narcissist in your life is planning their exit plan. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next year. But trust me, they are planting seeds of their exit protocol to everybody that you both know. They are making everybody think that you are unstable, making people think that, hey, listen, this person is mean, this one is cool, this one is doing this. I had this chick spent so much time using reactive abuse to get me upset. And as soon as I yelled, we called the cops. We are calling the cops. Because she had this strange thing where she felt that if she could get the cops I had a clean record. So she figured if she can get me on paperwork saying that I'm a bad person, it would verify that. Until one day, I actually recorded her saying, who do you think the cops are going to believe? A female sitting up here crying or you? After that, I think it happened one more time, and I was like, I told that when the cop came to the house, I was like, you want to hear this recording? Am I in trouble for anything? Nope, they went about their way. This is what narcissists do. They're very cold and they're very calculating. So while you're holding on to hope, while you're holding on to, I can get them back to the person that they used to be, they're sitting up there playing in your face. They are, and I hate to be harsh, but some people need to hear this. Some people, I think this is, most of the time I'm calm, most of the time I'm not animated, but I'm thinking we're reaching the point where somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs that slap of cold water in their face and say, hey, listen, this is not a relationship in anybody's mind but yours. Just look at the return on investment. Here you are, you're giving love, compassion, you're uplifting this person, you're holding this person up, you're going out of your way to make this person look good in public, which is always their goal. You're doing all of this. Let me ask you a question. What the F are they doing for you? Let's be completely honest here. What are they doing for you? How are they uplifting you? How are they making your life easier? How are they supporting you in your endeavors? How are they making sure that if you had a bad day at work or with the kids or whatever it may be, that they're there for you? What are they doing to show you that? That's what I mean. Sometimes we need that dash of cold water in our face and say, hey, listen, something's not, that Minister Robinson cat, what he's saying, there's a little bit of truth in that. There might be something that I'm missing. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, that's why the trauma bond exit protocol exists. Okay? Bite-sized chunks, common sense chunks, things that you cannot dispute, chunks of information to give you that word that I love. Clarity. Clarity. Because I'm going to tell you, your feelings will never break a trauma bond. Your emotions will never break a trauma bond. Okay? And you get this wonderful thing once you break free from the trauma bond, once you become totally, completely free, once you get to the stage where I got at. Besides my kids, I really don't care about them. I really don't. And I'm not saying that to make it up. That was part of me breaking the trauma bond. I had to become indifferent. Okay, I had to look at the return on investment for myself. Okay, if I care for this person, if I still care for this person, I am still attached to them. Common sense. I had to feed myself common sense. So except for the things that keep us entangled, no. No, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care who you're seeing. I don't care if you go on vacation. I don't care who you're living with. I don't care. I don't care. And I try to make that clear as much as possible. And like I said, once you break free, you get a superpower. You get a gift that you wasn't expecting. You can't unsee this shit. You cannot unsee this shit. I'm not, 5 months out of this, I'm sitting up there saying to myself, because I'm male, I'm saying to myself, oh yeah, I can trust again. I can trust again. The signs. I'm like watching this unfold stage by stage. I'm like, okay, the mirroring, the love bomb. I mean, I'm having conversations with this person. Check this out. They're using stuff that I use. They researched me. They actually went online, researched me, and they're using statements that I use, almost word for word, almost verbatim. So that was a red flag. I'm like, why are you trying to mirror me? Then gifts out the blue, and stuff that I'm not asking for, stuff that I'm sometimes saying no to. I'm like, here we are at the love bombing stage. Then we're trying to move stuff along super fast. See, these red flags, they become more, you become very cognizant of them almost immediately. And I'm kind of happy for that. It's not being over vigilant. There's a fine line where you become over vigilant, you don't trust anyone, and you think that everybody's a narcissist. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, so I'm never going to try to diagnose anybody. However, using the DSM-9, if you hit 5 of those traits while we are in, a thingship or a friendship, whatever, I'm paying attention and I am removing myself. And that is one of the things that's, if we're looking at return on investment, because I truly feel that I have been, in my lifetime, I have been in 3 narcissistic relationships. I think this time is where I just said, hey, listen, I can't see anybody else go through this, and I started to research and I started to study. Yeah, I'm kind of happy that this was the return on investment for finally getting clarity. I can't unsee the shit. I could be in the store. I could be air hustling conversations. And I'm like, wow, we just hit 3 stages right there. And then on top of it, that person just gaslighted them. Wow, that's different. And like I said, I'm not over vigilant. I make sure I'm very careful about that. But like I said, once you hit those 5 criteria, I'm like, yo, no. And like I said, narcissists, they look for empaths. If you consider yourself to be an empath, okay, and later on down the line, I'm going to get into what creates empaths and what creates narcissists, and it's going to be surprising. Okay, it is going to be surprising. Once you figure out what creates an empath and what creates a narcissist, I think you'll be shocked. Okay, I really think that you will be shocked. Okay, because it all stems from some type of dysfunction early on in life. Dysfunction early on in life. That's where it stems from. So I'm going to get into that. I think I'll make that another video. I got the magazine. I just finished that up this morning. I've been waking up 4:30 in the morning putting this stuff together. I'm kind of beat. It launches March 1st. The linkage is up there. Just go to Now Camden if you want to see what we're doing. And it's not trauma based, it's actually informational. It's something that we want to do to, I guess, spread the movement a little bit more. We have events coming up in Camden County. We have a lot of stuff that's going on because, like I said, I plan on keeping my word. This shit has to stop. They have got throughout history. If you remember history books and the criterion, the nine criterions in the DSM-5 is about narcissism, you will be surprised the amount of people that have gone through history that would be easily diagnosed as being narcissists. Easily diagnosed as being narcissists. You look at your, I don't want to say any names. I'm not trying to diagnose anyone, but look at your boy Diddy. Look at the person that's in charge of everything right now. If they're not hitting at least 7 of the criterions in the DSM-5, I don't know what the hell they're doing. And we see this throughout history. And, it's up to us to stop it. At some stage, we have to make a concerted effort to decide that this can't go on anymore. And we got to get our brothers and sisters, our fellow empaths, the hell out of this mess. We really do. So it's a whole course. It's on the page. If you stop by, you stop by. But it's on the page. I'm going to be going live a little bit more. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you don't follow me, go ahead and subscribe. What the hell? Nothing but information, no fluff, no BS. With that being said, I got more stuff to do. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Stay powerful, keep healing, and the reason why I do everything that I do, love you guys. How do you end this? Okay, so I can go like that and go like that.